Hey everybody, it's me, Mrs. Guzman. We're going to be talking about school supplies and clear the list up next on Gifted Guzman. Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Gifted Guzman. Today I wanted to talk to you about school supplies, the school supplies that teachers buy for their classrooms, and I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about Clear the List. Clear the List has been very popular on Twitter lately and on other forms of social media, and it's something that teachers are doing in order to get some more supplies for their classroom. Before I go into Clear the List though, I want to show you what I've personally purchased for my classroom this year and kind of go over what some of it's for, so if you're not a teacher, you know what I'm using these items for. So let's take a look at what I've bought for my classroom this year. Wow, so that was everything. To me, that seems like a lot. I'm thinking maybe to you that might also seem like a lot. So I want to kind of go over what all I got and what I'm going to use it for. First of all, in order to understand what I got, I think you need to understand what I'm going to teach. So this upcoming school year, I'll be teaching 3 different grade levels and 2 different subjects. I'm going to be teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science, and then I'm also going to be teaching 8th grade English language arts. I'm also the gifted and talented specialist for my campus, so I'll be doing all the testing and determining who needs to be in the gifted program, and I also keep up with all of the students who have a year-long project to do. So I teach them how to present, and I teach them how to do research, and I teach them time management and how to do all of those skills as well. So first of all, you probably saw my giant stack of markers. Well, let's talk about what my giant stack of markers is for. I have 16 markers, 16 colored pencils, 16 thin markers. I have 16 pairs of scissors. I have 16 little pencil sharpeners. And the reason I have all of these is because I will have 16 tables with a possibility of 32 students. And some years I have 32 students and some years I don't. So I always prepare just in case I have 32 students. What I do at each table is I put one of those plastic shoe boxes, and inside the plastic shoe box I put all of the markers and pencils and pencil sharpeners and things that they'll need in order to do the work that we do. The other thing that you might have seen are these little containers that I bought. I'm going to get a Sharpie and I'm going to write trash can on those. And this kind of is for me, it makes my job a little bit easier, is that at each station there are these little trash cans, so when they're cutting and things, they can put all of their trash in here, and then at the end of the class period, they'll go and dump all of those things out. So a lot of what I bought is for maintenance of the classroom and to keep it so that the students have supplies and they're there at their table and they can work on the things that are at their table. So the next set of things you might have seen on my table of supplies are things like this, and all different kinds of folders and hanging file folders, and you may have seen these crates that I have. So these are not necessarily for the students, but in a roundabout way they are for the students. So what I do with the crates and the hanging file folders is I have 6 weeks of work out and available. So if a student was absent and they missed a day, the work is in the folder for the week and for the day of the week. So there's 6 hanging file folders, and then in each hanging file folder there's 5 folders that say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If they've lost their work and they haven't been able to turn it in, if they were absent and they need to get a copy of it, whatever the case may be, I have extra copies of all the work and I put it in the crates. Well, because I have different grade levels and I have different subjects, I'm doing different color crates so that everybody knows where their things are so that they're not searching all over the classroom. And then I have the file folders so that I can put all the grading so that I'm not losing anybody's papers and so that then I'm grading them. The other organizational thing I have are these little baskets. So I have my students do what's called a warm-up at the beginning of each class, where it's where they sit down and they kind of get started on a little work to refresh what we did the day before, or to kind of introduce them to something new for the day. So I have, again, 3 different colors for the 3 different grade levels so that they'll know where their warm-up is for the day. So a lot of the stuff on the table is probably self-explanatory. I'm sure that you saw the paper and the hundreds of pencils that I have, and the pens and the note cards. Those things are all self-explanatory. Those are all things that are needed for a regular classroom. You may have also seen the clipboards and weren't quite sure what the clipboards were for, and the clipboards kind of go with the next section of things I'm going to talk about. So you may have seen the yoga balls, and you may have seen, sorry I'm reaching so that I can show you, the crystal growing kits, and these, and I have magnifying glasses, and I have puzzles, and I have board games on here. I have a lot of board games at school already, but I bought a couple of new ones. So what I like to do for my students is I have enrichment centers. So if they finish their work, they may go to one of these enrichment centers and they may work on something in the enrichment center. Sometimes they just have one of those days where they need to color in a coloring book or they need to work on a puzzle, so they can go do that. Some days they want to learn about something that they're interested in, and it doesn't necessarily go with the curriculum. So I have things for the human body, I have chemistry things, I have geology stations, I have a building station with building blocks, I have a pollinator station that talks about insects and flowers and the native things to Texas. I can't even remember everything at this point because I'm still labeling them and getting them all together. I bought a lot of things this summer, and I put a lot of things on my list. So this is where we're going to start talking about clear the list. Okay? So clear the list. Clear the list is an amazing thing that started with teachers gifting things to other teachers and has now blown up to where there are celebrities and businesses and family members and friends and people on social media who are buying things for teachers that are on their Amazon wish list. So Amazon allows you to set up a wish list with anything that you'd like, and some teachers are putting these regular school supplies on there. Some of the paper and the pencils, and especially if they work in what's called a Title I school, where the kids are lower in the socioeconomic realm and they need more supplies. I'm fortunate that I've moved to a school where my students are higher socioeconomically, and so they don't need as many supplies as my students used to use. So this is actually a much smaller amount of things that I used to buy when I worked at a Title I school. So I can see why the teachers are putting all of these things on their list. So you've seen everything that I've already purchased. I want to enhance my enrichment centers so that my students have extra things to do. But I just didn't have enough funds to buy everything that I wanted, so I put out my list in hopes that some people would help out. And fortunately, a lot of my friends have helped out, so I want to show you some of the things that I got off of my list and explain what they were for. So as I said earlier, I do have a gaming station where the students can go to play different board games with one another and be off of their technology, because they do like to play app games, but they're not often as willing to play board games. So I do try to encourage this because then they're spending some time with one another and they're talking to one another and socializing. So one of the things I put on my list was Mancala, that I have upside down. There's Mancala. Mancala is a strategy game, and the nice thing about this is it's a 2-player game, so it requires 2 students to be there at the same time, and sometimes your friend doesn't finish with their work at the same time that you do. So it allows the students to oftentimes meet new people and to play games with new people that they wouldn't normally play games with. The next enrichment center that I have is a building center. I already have Lego because my sons are grown, so I have all of their Lego. And I bought, it's the marble where you put the marble in and you can build the different levels and then the marble goes through the levels. I bought one of those. And then I got this off of my list. It's magnetic toys. Now I know that it says age 3+ years. For 3-year-olds, this is very simple and they do something very simple. For the older students, they can build more elaborate things, and this helps them to think spatially with the geometric shapes, so it also becomes something mathematic without them realizing that it's mathematic. So this is also something that I got from my Amazon wish list. So I showed you a little bit earlier some of the test tubes that I had purchased. I also have periodic table cards that I've purchased, And I have some little blocks that I got when I was getting my master's degree that they can put together, and they make atomic bonds, and they make different compounds and things like that. Well, I asked for this on my Amazon list. So this has atoms and links so that they can learn about this. In 6th grade science in Texas, they learn just the basics of an element versus a compound and a little bit about the periodic table. And then in 8th grade science, it's more complicated, and they learn about subatomic particles. So there are students who are highly interested in chemistry, so I wanted to give them a chance to spend more time on that if they were interested, and to dig in a little deeper into the chemistry than what we actually do in the middle school. So that's what's going to be going on in my chemistry enrichment station. Another thing that I put on my Amazon wish list were these animal and insect x-ray cards. I don't know if you can see them without the glare. They're still in the package. I haven't even opened them up yet. I actually have some x-rays from my dog when my dog got hurt. She got hit by a motorcycle. And so I'm going to tape those x-rays up in the windows of my room and have those visible so that they can see those. In 7th grade science in Texas, we learn about human body systems. So animals, of course, have similar body systems, one of the systems being the skeletal, which you can see through the x-rays. So I thought that this would be a good station for the students to go to, and I'm going to have some books about different diseases of the body, and I have a little plastic human body that I bought that has little rubber innards inside of it. You can pull them out, and there's a little booklet that comes with that talks about the different body systems. And then I have some worksheets and things that they can color and do some research. So I thought that that would be a fun enrichment center for them to go to as well. So the last thing that I've been asking for on my list are these foldable brochures. This one is Bugs and Slugs. And as you can see, if you open it up, it gives you a small amount of information about them. And then the other one I have is a geology one so far. And this tells you about the different rocks and minerals. And I actually have a rock and mineral case in my room that I also got from when I was doing my master's degree. And I have the magnifying glasses. I don't know if you saw those, so that they can look at the rocks and minerals. And then they can just use this as a tool to help them learn a little bit more. And then I have technology in my room so they can research even more if that's something that they're really interested in. And we do a lot of geology in 6th grade science, so this becomes a good enrichment zone if they're done with that geology and they understand that and they want to delve a little deeper into it. So again, things on my Amazon wish list were for my enrichment center, whereas the rest of the things that I purchased are really things for my classroom that I'm going to need for my classroom. Well, that's about it for today. I've talked to you about a lot of things as far as getting school supplies and the Amazon wish list and clear the list. As you can see, a lot goes into building a successful classroom for students. There are a lot of supplies that are needed. So I hope more and more people get to see this and get to see what it is that teachers pour into their classroom and how much it benefits not just us, but the students that we teach when you help us buy things from our Amazon wish list. If you can't, that's okay. You can always spread the word. Or if you have things that you can donate, you can always talk to a local teacher or a local school and see if they need some of the things that you have available to donate. You might be surprised what teachers could use. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gifted Guzman. I'll be seeing you soon.